Hey guys, welcome back to another video here. How's everyone doing here? I hope everyone's doing great today here because today we're going to be reacting to another world history video here. So today we're going to be reacting to actually another different YouTuber than the one I did was the History Smashers. Today we're going to be reacting to the Daily Bellringer here. He's a history teacher and he's also like basically a another history YouTuber who does cover a lot of also history videos here. So, but in this video, the topic we're going to be discussing in here today is we'll be covering over through what is called the Gilded Age here. So, to those of you who don't know what the Gilded Age is here, it's basically like a time period which is named after also by the novel by Mark Twain that was called the Gilded Age. The story today tells us today from 1873 here by Mark Twain. It's basically a time period which just shows like basically a lot of economic growth there with a lot of rapid industrialization with the growth of factories as well as also steel, gold, and production here. And it also like many company owners and others were increasing money and increased the amount of wealth here. And yeah, and it also saw trade with other countries, but it also basically creates a lot of businesses here. But there's also like basically a lot of corruption here that was going on in these factories and businesses here. And that's also where where they were to control their money, their businesses, and that was basically that's controlled through also from like the government. So yeah, so in this video we're going to be going over into this video here. And yeah, and this also is going to cover also some it's all the time also the construction of the railroad system, as well as also some tycoons as well here, such as Andrew Carnegie here, and who founded the Carnegie School Institute here, and also was like basically another billionaire here, and as well as John D. Rockefeller here, who also created also his money around in the time period where it's come from like the production of oil here. So yeah, yeah, this is what we're going to be doing here today here. But it also, and yeah, but it also causes a lot of crisis as well here, such as like the Haymark affair here, where where people were basically had been protested for like better pay or robbed wages for like strikes against like the government from the 1894. And yeah, and there's also like the Pullman strike, where there's strikes and wages from that time period here. And yeah, and we're going to be also covering also these historical figures and also the presidencies who are during around this time period, such as James A. Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Benjamin Harrison, and Grover Cleveland. So yeah, but before we get into this video here, if you guys haven't yet, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if you're new, don't forget to comment and turn on the bell notifications. That way you get notified by every video that I'll be posting in the channel. And yeah, no, let's get started with this video. Alright, here we go. Let's start watching the video.
Today we're looking at the Gilded
Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, this is a little quiet.
Age.
Here, let me turn this up.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Bellringer.
There we go.
To subscribe
now I
and
fixed
take a look
it.
at the questions down in the description. Also, don't forget to check out dailybellringer.com for resources that go with many of the Bellringer videos. The Gilded Age was a period of enormous economic growth in America that basically began in the wake of the Civil War in the late 1860s.
Yeah, and grows around the 1870s and 1890s.
Late 1890s. The title Gilded Age was taken from the Mark Twain novel
I
The
knew
Gilded
it.
Age, A Tale of Today.
A Tale of
and
Today, I knew it.
Period,
Yep,
the economy
that's right.
of the United States doubled in size. Although the Industrial Revolution might have had a brief pause with the Civil War breaking out in 1861, the growth of factories and the use of new manufacturing technology continued after the war. The Gilded Age saw a major shift in the workforce of America, as before the Civil War, most Americans worked for themselves, whereas by 1900, most Americans worked for an employer.
Right, and they also like basically you can definitely see from here how they were working into the factories here, and how they also created a lot of iron and steel, and also many produced like maybe also like many goods here, and how this basically caused like a bunch of economic growth through millions of people and millions of immigrants who could also come
The
to the United
massive growth in
States.
the U.S. economy drew millions of immigrants to move to America during the Gilded Age. It's estimated
Right.
that over 11.5 million immigrants came to America, with most moving to America from European countries. The completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869 connected the
1860.
East and West, and now products and resources could be more easily shipped across the nation. It also led to a rapid settlement of the
Right.
western part of the
And also
United
a massive
States. Cities
transportation too
continued to
here.
grow as people flocked to urban centers to work in these growing factories. By the turn of the century, nearly 40% of Americans lived in cities. But American
40% of
cities were
living
not ready for
cities,
this rapid
right.
growth. Tenement housing began popping up in larger cities. Tenements were poorly constructed apartment buildings with several stories. They were built virtually on top of each other, and people
Oh,
lived in
yeah.
incredibly cramped conditions.
Right, you can definitely see from up here, like in these cramped conditions here, and like in these houses here, and that the how like basically the people would have lived up here. Yeah, you can definitely see like it's already topped over up on one another here. It's like that's even way crazier here if you think about it.
These close quarters were unsanitary and led to disease spreading quickly throughout these tenements.
Yeah.
As wealth grew,
Yeah, disease also is another comeback because if you're also working into the factory like producing any iron or coal here or anything here, or that would also like get a lot of spread also some diseases here, mainly because of also of like from the black smoke here from the factories here would also spread through the air here, and that's like basically bad oxygen and bad air for basically anyone who basically breathes in, and also the fact that the world is also like how of like the causes from also how the world was basically industrialized. Let's
so too
continue.
did the concentration of wealth in America. The elite accumulated enormous amounts of wealth.
Right.
Many of these
You could
elite
many
were termed robber
right.
barons.
Yeah,
Robber barons were
many
the
of the
heads of companies
billionaires
who
here,
were ruthless in their pursuit of
like
more
John,
wealth. They used political tactics, corruption, and even
corruption.
violence to make sure they beat the competition.
Right.
They attempted to create
We have
monopolies
Andrew
of
Carnegie
different
and Rocky
industries, which a
Rockefeller
monopoly
and
is when one
Boris.
company controls all of the supply and trade within a certain industry. Corruption in government was rampant or widespread as wealthy industrialists worked diligently to make sure the government did not interfere with their business or attempt to put any regulations on them. Again, these industrialists amassed amazing fortunes, which was evident by the homes they built. George Vanderbilt, who made his fortune with railroads, built the Biltmore Mansion in
Bill,
Asheville, North Carolina. The
Ashmore
Biltmore
Van
has more
Bell.
than 170,000
Okay,
square
yeah.
feet, 35 bedrooms, 43 bathrooms, an indoor pool, and even a bowling alley. Some
Wow.
of the more
Yeah,
well-known
it's pretty
industrialists were
big,
Andrew
huh?
Carnegie, who made millions in the steel industry, and John D. Rockefeller, who controlled the
Huge.
oil industry. Although
Right.
both
Yep.
Carnegie
That
and
I also
Rockefeller
mentioned
were
about
ruthless
before.
businessmen, they also were known for being philanthropists or their philanthropy,
Philanthropy.
as Carnegie established libraries across the United States, and Rockefeller
Right,
gave
and I
away
also
nearly
mentioned also right libraries and also the Carnegie school that I was also been mentioning about too. Yeah.
half of his wealth to churches and hospitals. As wealthy industrialists built their fortunes, they did so based on the labor of the working class. Workers were required to work 12-hour days and many times work 6 days a week, working in unsafe conditions. Eventually, the working class began
Right.
to recognize how they were being
That's
taken
true too.
advantage
Yeah.
of and the huge gap between their wages and the ridiculous income being collected by the company owners. Workers began to organize and form unions to argue for their rights. Many workers went on
Right.
strike or
That's
refused
what I
to
also
work
mentioned
until their
about. They were
demands
going on
met.
as a
Many
strikes here.
times, employers would bring in replacement workers or use violence to attempt to break up strikes.
Right,
One
like
of the
the
largest
Pullman
strikes
strike
was
or
the
the
Pullman strike in 1894 that brought railroads in America to a halt and required the intervention of President Grover Cleveland to end the strike, and interestingly
Entry.
would lead to the holiday of Labor Day being established. The
Right.
Gilded Age
Okay.
basically came to an end with the Panic of 1893
3.
that led to a 4 year economic depression until 1897. This would then usher in what was known as the Progressive Era in America, in which people attempted to correct some of the social and political errors which had occurred during the Gilded Age.
Right.
So,
Okay.
with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.
Okay, yeah, alright, so that was basically it here. Yeah, that was basically a really, really short video here, and, yeah, no. Um, Yeah, like I said here, like basically despite all like the economic growth here and like the amount of companies and like and manufacturing and like the steel and iron and gold and many other productions here, they still face like basically a lot of corruption from like basically from like the robber barons or like the tycoons here and like like Volgres or like Andrew Carnegie or Rockefeller here, who are both known for the oil and like the steel productions here, but they were also philanthropists here, in which that by which then also where Andrew Carnegie also built also the library, which I also just learned there, and also that he built also like the school institute as well here, that the video does not mention here. Yeah, no, and I've already like basically I've actually also did like also a history lesson also on the also around also into the Gilded Age as well here, also through like say the presidencies of like of like say one for example like Grover Cleveland, Harrison, and Grover Cleveland again here, where there was also like basically other acts as well here, such as like and also as also James A. Garfield here, even though he basically his presidency doesn't like basically last long after he was elected in 1880 until before he was assassinated in 1881 here, that he only did some little political and economic reforms, but then Chester A. Arthur came around. He did more like established some like civil service here and political economic reforms here and and also like basically and yeah no and this time period also saw the building of the railroad system, but I also learned something new here also like say also like in the presidency of Benjamin Harrison here when he was elected also in 1888 here, he also like passed also through also like the McKinley Act here, which is also basically that would like raise tariffs from like about 50%, I think, and also you have like the Pendleton Act of 1883, which is basically that like federal governments would basically get awarded by merit here. And yeah, no, and then there's also like where they are also yeah, and there's constructing railroads, but there was also of course like basically some strikes here as well here, some protests and like then such as like the Pullman strike here, where they stopped refusing also to the construction of the railroads, and also like the Hayman strike here, where they were protesting more about better pay working jobs and better wages here. And yeah, so no, and then yeah, but there's also this. So there was also the time also, which I'm gonna cover also in the next video. Here is the Great Chicago Fire here, which is basically occurred around in the Chicago Fire here. It's somewhere also nowhere knows exactly what caused the fire here, but the fire basically grow enormous here, and it spread all the way around in the city of Chicago here, and the firemen were basically going to go out there and basically take out all the fire in Chicago here, and until the firemen came to the rescue, and also where a few civilians have been killed during the fire. So yeah, yeah, so that's basically all about it here. Yeah, no, here I'll definitely be reacting to more also about the more videos about this here. And yeah, no, and I'm also going to be reacting to other videos about the related to the Gilded Age, such as like that there was also this time period also saw like the immense amount of like immigrants that are basically come into like the to the United States as well here for more also like to go job business and also work into the factories. And then we also have like social Darwinism here, the idea of like the ideas of race and racism in the Gilded Age. So yeah, and well, there's other like basically there's and also we'll talk about like the social classes, like the poor and like also the like the and also like the more wealthiest class here. And yeah, no, we're definitely going to be talking about these here. And yeah, no, and yeah, so and and of course we'll talk about like I said before here, about like the U.S. presidents here, and that we'll be talk about like in this during this period. Not to mention also like with Grover Cleveland, for example. Here he also basically did like when he was also elected here, there was also like the panic also of 1837 here, which basically caused like an international like economic depression here, but then where businesses and close the financial ruin and loss here and of like loans. And yeah, no, and he was also like the first president to get elected twice, but non-consecutively. This second being Donald Trump. And no, and yeah, so that's basically it. No, and that's all about it here. And yeah, we'll be definitely going to be covering these videos. But I think this is it for now. I hope you guys basically enjoyed the video here. And if you guys did, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if you're new. Don't forget to comment and turn on the bell notifications. That way you get notified by every video that I'll be posting in the channel. And yeah, guess I'll see you guys in my next video here. So yeah, Airon the History Buff or Mr. Airon's out. Peace.